r/AskReddit. Have you ever woke up in the middle of a dream and the dream was so interesting that you wanted to go back to sleep to see the end of it? If so, what was the dream? I had a nightmare a couple years back, and I still remember some bits. I was in a city where there was an outbreak of a disease. Infected people would start leaking black stuff from their eyes and noses and attack non-infected people. For some reason, I was walking in a part of the city that was completely deserted a couple days after the outbreak. Very faintly I heard someone crying. I approached and found out that it came from a backyard. If I wanted to see who it was, I had to climb a high fence. When I walked into the backyard I was freaking horrified. There was a crying little kid, like 3 years old on a leash, tied to a pole. I didn't dare to approach, because that child was leaking black stuff from the nose. I woke up after this, and was still horrified. The parents had to leave their child who was still alive, chained to a pole outside. That messed me up for a couple of days. Was exploring a jungle with a group of, I assume, friends. We ended up discovering some kind of temple, but it was dark, so we decided to set up camp. I was charged with gathering dry wood and leaves for the fire, while macheteing my way through vines. I heard my name being screamed by one of the group members in a terrified way, repeatedly. Woke up to see my mom yelling my name and to get the frick up already. I never found out what that temple was. Edit. I have never watched any adventure movies like Indiana Jones or Jumanji, nor have I played any Uncharted game. I once dreamt that all of my family and closest friends were on the world's largest cruise ship. Along the way, we somehow were exposed to radioactive waste that gave us all superpowers or other mutations. I remember so vividly being able to use my mind to move objects with ease, and I threw donuts at my brother, whose skin had turned as hard as stone. This one girl on the cruise, that we all universally hated, for reasons I can't remember, received a really random and useless mutation. She grew a really fat lizard tail, like a leopard gecko who has eaten a lot. She was crying about how ugly she was now and all we could do was laugh. Then I woke up. A long time ago, I had a dream that there were ghosts living in my family's garage. Nowhere else, just the garage. I somehow became friends with one, but she was unable to speak to me, leave the property that the house was on, and wasn't able to show any facial expressions that wouldn't be considered terrifying. Me and my ghost friend were playing on the house porch and two guys were trying to break into the house. She tried to stop them by scaring the living heck out of them by making a terrifying face and screaming the most blood-curdling scream ever right in their faces. I wasn't able to see the face she made, but I somehow knew it was there, and all I could hear was the scream. The people trying to rob the house ran off, but instead of celebrating, I curled up and started crying because of how terrifying the scream was. I absolutely loved that ghost, and I forgot that her whole purpose was to scare people, but she did it to protect me in the house. I still cried though, and she tried to cheer me up the best way she could. Then I woke up. I knew that was a dream, but I didn't want to leave my ghost friend alone knowing the last time she saw me was when she scared me to tears by accident. I tried to go back to sleep, and I did, and I somehow successfully re-entered the dream. Only it was several years in the future. The garage still had a couple of ghosts in it, but not nearly as much, and the rest seemed to be oblivious to humans. I was going into the attic and found some pictures in there of me around the age I was friends with the ghost, and on a picture I saw a very faint image of her face standing next to me. I went down the attic and woke up. I didn't get to tell the ghost that I forgive her or anything, and I still feel some sort of emotional attachment to her. It was probably the best nightmare I've ever had, and one of the dreams I wanted to go back to the most, just so I can tell her that there are no hard feelings. Edit. Thanks for comments everyone. I was just procrastinating and scrolling through Reddit and saw this post and thought, oh yeah, that happened to me once. I was seriously not thinking much of it and wasn't expecting this many people to be interested in it. This has made my day. How many people have interest in this? Thanks. Another Reddit for good reasons. For y'all out there, this is about my dream where ghosts exist, and one of them I became friends with. I appreciate the support in the comments, but please stop wishing/hoping that we meet in real life. A ghost is a ghost. I would feel physically ill if I saw a ghost, wholesome or not. Thank you for your time. One last edit because of skepticism. It's been like 5 months since I left this comment here, and looking back on it, I probably should have cleared something up. I remember this dream pretty well, because I wrote what I remembered from it on a piece of paper that I had brought to my room before I went to sleep so I could draw. I used to read it every now and then, and I had memorized most of it eventually and had written a very short story based off of it. I have since lost both of these pieces of paper and they've probably been thrown out by accident by now. Either way, I hope that clears something up regarding my memory of this dream. And yes, I know that my edits are starting to become the length of my story. You don't need to tell me. I have a story about when the opposite of this happened. It was a freaking epic fantasy dream, let me tell ya. Evil wizard of some sort that I'm pretty sure was my 8th grade math teacher, kidnapped princess, a worthless but snappy sidekick that was my best friend in real life. This dream had everything. So I beat the bad guy, rescued the princess, and brought her back to a village of, I think Ewoks or something, I dunno. Big celebration. Everybody went hooray and stuff, and then it didn't end. We just kinda stood there looking at each other. It felt like a long time. Ewoks just kinda start milling around and doing their everyday crap. Made some small talk with the princess. And then eventually the dream ended and I woke up. It was a strange one. Edit. 2 words. This was like the 4th strangest dream I've ever had. I had one where I was wandering through my hometown for what felt like hours, and eventually the dream became lucid, and the dream dragged on, and I was just walking around looking at stuff. Eventually I started thinking that I'm probably late for school since the dream went on for so long, and I tried to figure out a way to get myself to wake up. I tried lying down on the ground and thought that people walking on me would probably do it, but it didn't. I didn't feel a thing. So I lied down in the middle of the road and a car hit me, and right before it hit me I woke up in the middle of the night. Oh boy, here we freaking go. I had this dream which I still remember vividly, even if I was 9 to 10 at the time. So, I was walking down the street and met my primary school teacher, a cute old lady with the driest humor ever. We talked for a bit, and she invited me over to talk and drink some tea. I enter her house, she makes the tea, and we sit in this area with 3 walls made out of bookcases. In between there were these 2 somewhat fancy chairs and a round low coffee table. We talked for a bit, and she starts telling me how she brought me here for a good reason, and she just does some magic or presses a damn button, or whatever, and a wall opens exactly like in Dexter's laboratory. She invites me in, and I see all these people doing a variety of stuff. People being tied to metal hospital tables, in tubes, whatever. Everything had this technology kind of blue, and I walked through this huge mall-like revolving door. I realized I fell asleep a bit after walking, so it must have had some kind of sedative or something. Anyway, I wake up, and in my fear I'm tied to a metal table, without any skin. I can see my muscles, all of them, move, twitch and contract all, while I'm fighting to break loose from the table. That teacher comes by and says to me in the lines of "Don't worry, it's all part of the procedure." I see other people around me, exactly in the same state. She releases me after a bit. She gives me this spandex dark blue suit and told me to wear it. After I put it on I could move like somewhat of a superhero. I could run really fast. I could jump really high. I was very agile and nimble. She told me I'm some sort of recruit and that she has a mission for me. After that I just remember teleporting to some place by my home with a gal that I knew by me as my duo, with the task to catch this black invisible morphing dog. I remember aiming at that thing with something like this bulky black blaster, after which I woke up. You can tell that my young me was very pissed for not being able to be a superhero. I used to have lucid dreams in my early to mid 20s. As soon as I'd realize I was asleep, I'd start flying, or just rising to the ceiling, because it was a cool way to test it. Then my immediate thought would be who should I pretend sleep with, and the excitement over that possibility woke me up every damn time. A moment for our fallen bro. Stuck in the dream zone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, Please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Don't forget to leave your stories in the comments below.